So you think Donald Trump is the worst guy to become president of the United States? Well, I want you to take a look back here. This is Andrew Jackson. Hold on, let's go a little closer. See, Andrew Jackson sucked, and everyone knew it. And if I had to tell you about every way he sucked, this video would be 40 minutes. Instead, I'm gonna tell you about this time that Andrew Jackson had a problem. See, he got in an argument with some dude that owed him some money for a horse. Now, everyone knew Andrew Jackson had a temper, and he was violent. So he goes over to the dude, he said, broski, where my money? Dude said, hey, bro, I can't really pay you right now, you know what I'm saying? Jackson said, I'm gonna ask you again, and I wanna hear something different. Where my money? Dude said, no, I'm gonna pay you with how we agreed upon with these things called notes. Andrew Jackson said, I never said that, you cap. The dude's son comes in and says, yo, what you saying to my pops? And this is where things get heated. Now, remember how I just told you Andrew Jackson had a temper? Well, the dude's son had a temper too. His name was Charles Dickinson, not Charles Dickens, the author, Charles Dickinson. So Charles Dickinson and Andrew Jackson, they knucking and bucking. What? They get separated. But then everyone in the state of Tennessee where they live started instigating. Charles's friends was like, bro, you didn't throw hands. You scared of Andrew? Charles said, who's scared of Andrew? And Andrew Jackson, a coward. Somebody from the newspaper came in and said, can you repeat that? He said, I said, Andrew Jackson, a coward. So, all right. He publishes it in the newspaper. All over the newspaper, Charles Dickinson called Andrew Jackson a coward. Now, boy, back in the day, them insults was taken seriously. On top of calling him a coward, Charles Dickinson called him a scoundrel. Andrew Jackson said, doth my eyes deceive me? Call Charles a worthless cur. The newspaper came and said, what'd you say? He said, I said, call Charles a worthless cur. So, all right. The newspaper publishes a paper. Charles Dickinson, Andrew Jackson just called you a worthless cur. Then Charles has a little bit to drink with his boys. He started talking about Andrew Jackson's wife. Talking about, yo, man, shoot, she ain't even your wife. She technically never got a divorce from her first husband. And everybody knows it. His boy said, ooh. Word gets back to Andrew. Now, you ain't gonna talk about Andrew's wife. He gets so heated, he does something surprising. Now, anybody with a quick temper could probably relate. You know that point where you get so mad that you just calm down? Because you know the next thing you're about to do is insane. Well, Andrew gets to that point. So he says, Charles, let me clarify. Did you say that or not? And Charles actually apologizes. He said, yo, I might have been too lit. If I did say that, then I'm actually really sorry. Andrew said, okay, I accept your apology. And here's where things started to get wicked. People just started getting messy. Andrew Jackson's friends in his ear talking about, man, you really gonna let him get away with not paying you out? Andrew said, no, he gonna pay me. They said, all right, if you say so. And apparently Andrew starts talking a little bit of smack about Charles and his daddy. Now, this gets back to Charles. And Charles is like, yo, Andrew gave me the benefit of the doubt with the whole wife thing. Let me just give him the benefit of the doubt. So he calls one of his friends. Yo, broski, go ask Andrew if he really talking smack about me. His friend says, cool. He goes over to Andrew. He says, yo, Charles want to know if you really talking smack about him and his daddy again. Andrew Jackson goes, Charles Dickinson's friend goes, oh, I must be tripping. We got a problem? One thing leads to another. I told y'all earlier he was violent. Boom, starts getting on Charles Dickinson's boy. Charles Dickinson's boy takes off, says, you a coward, Andrew. Newspaper comes in again and says, okay, let me publish that. Charles Dickinson walks in and goes, man, he is a coward. Newspaper says, let me publish that as well. So 2 papers come out where Charles Dickinson and Charles Dickinson's friend are calling Andrew Jackson a coward. This is the last straw for Andrew Jackson. He says, satisfaction's due for me for the insults offered, meaning let's get it on. Like really get it on. Let's have a duel. The state of Tennessee and a lot of states ban duels though, because they're pretty barbaric. What you do is you stand in front of each other and whoever makes it out alive makes it out alive. But these dudes hated each other, Andrew Jackson and Charles Dickinson. So they said, we gonna cross the border to Kentucky, a state that allows for duels, and we gonna really get it on. But then here's where it starts to get wickeder. Andrew Jackson's boy comes over to him and goes, you know who Charles Dickinson is, right? Andrew Jackson goes, yeah, the dude I've been arguing with this whole TikTok. His boy goes, yeah. But also he's the best shot in Tennessee. Andrew Jackson goes, oh, you're not really my boy? You wanna see me fall? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Someone comes in and goes, Andrew, don't listen to him. He's not the best shot in Tennessee. He's the best shot in America. Andrew Jackson crumbles. So he decides to form a plan with his friend. How am I gonna get out of this alive? He can't take back his statements now. Charles Dickinson's sitting there with the blicky, probably listening to some Chief Keef. Andrew Jackson tells his friend, okay, so we gonna cheat. He tells his friend, you're gonna call the duel. You're gonna just say, go, like super fast. Try to scare him and then make him pre-fire. His friend goes, that sounds like a great idea. But still hit you. Andrew Jackson goes, I'm gonna wear loose clothes so he can't really like hit me. You feel what I'm saying? They say bet. They go over to Kentucky. They draw a crowd. The person calling the duel says, in the left corner, we got Andrew Jackson. And in the right corner, we got Charles Run 'em Down Dickinson. Charles comes out. Charles holding the tully, talking about, you ready? Andrew Jackson goes, yeah. His boy goes, fire! Charles Dickinson, cool as a fan, pulls up the blicky. Got! And he hits Andrew Jackson directly in the chest. The crowd goes wild. They think it's over. There's red stuff flying out of Andrew Jackson. But Andrew Jackson doesn't fall to the floor. Andrew Jackson picks up his blicky. Now the dueling rules state, since Charles shot first, Andrew Jackson now gets a chance to shoot and Charles has to stand still. Okay, now listen to this part closely. Andrew fires, but his jams. Now the rules state that counts as a shot, so it's supposed to be over. But Andrew Jackson just reloads and just takes out Charles Dickinson. Everyone's like, yo, what? Andrew Jackson goes, what? Mike didn't fully jam, it only half jammed. Everyone's like, nah, bro. They rush over to try to save Charles, but Andrew Jackson goes, I win. His reputation takes a nosedive. As for Andrew Jackson getting hit, since he had loose clothing on, Charles Dickinson's shot bounced off one of his buttons and barely missed Andrew Jackson's heart. In fact, the shot was so close, doctors couldn't operate. Andrew Jackson kept that with him his whole life, and he would always feel the pain. The word is out. Andrew Jackson, just a guy in cold blood. On top of that, as you can see from this whole story, it's all about honor. If someone insults you, you need to save your honor. So on top of him just a guy when he didn't have to, people were saying even if you had another shot, you shouldn't have taken it. Because even though the rules say that Charles is supposed to stand still, people were saying you didn't have to him. You, at this point, kind of won the duel. And Andrew Jackson basically replied, it didn't even matter if he hit me, missed me, this, that, third. I was gonna him. And this is all before he became president. So that goes to show you, you can be the most hated man in America, a convicted felon. You could even a person, but people will still find a way to vote you in.